Welcome to Spenny and the Nets, episode 244. Yes, we are recording back-to-back weeks for the first time in 2026, and I am joined by the busiest man in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, Nick Shanman. Nick, welcome back to the show.
Why is my video camera such low quality?
I don't know. Um, when people ask about Spenny and the Nets, do you say you're like a 20% co-host or what do you tell them?
I say I jump on when I can, but keep talking for 10 seconds. I'm turning off the TV in the background.
All right, we can't hear it. The listeners can't hear it. I can't hear it, but that's okay. I'm good at filibustering. Anyway, before we get into basketball and our beloved Brooklyn Nets, as this is a Nets podcast, Nick, did you see the big news?
What was the big news? That it was the 1 year anniversary of Doncic being traded to the Lakers?
Nope. I said before we get into basketball, so this isn't basketball related, but uh Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow. 6 more
Puxatawny Phil.
weeks.
Puxatawny Phil.
Puxatawny Phil, she saw his shadow, the groundhog guy. So 6 more weeks of winter, and the vernal equinox is March 20th, 2026. What do you think of that?
That sucks. It's fucking freezing.
You know, I tend to have a positive outlook on everything, so I just think more time inside with your loved ones.
Or more time inside with your dog who doesn't poop because it's too cold outside.
It sounds like a you problem, co-host Nick.
Just Nick is fine.
Okay. All right, let's get into it. I was going to start the show differently, but we do have a Shams Charania update that includes the Brooklyn Nets. So Shams Charania was on one of those NBA insider shows that I just don't watch because there's no point in watching them. I get it on Twitter or X about 2 seconds later. But Shams said that Michael Porter Jr., who's had a sensational year with the Brooklyn Nets, was a borderline all-star. We're going to get into that very, very shortly. He is a player that the Nets are going to get a ton of calls and interest for, but they do see him as part of their future potentially as well. So, Nick, what are your first thoughts on MPJ being part of the Nets' future?
I mean, this man should be an all-star. He looks incredible. He shoots it at an unbelievable rate. I like him being part of the future, and I think my answer changed as of maybe a month or two ago, where I probably thought he wasn't a long-term guy that you build around. I think he needed an opportunity to show he could be a number one option, or even a number two if you bring in a Giannis or someone of that caliber. So I like it, but I think at this point we're so bad that I would be open to keeping him and building around him and with him, or trading him for a few other assets. I'm not tied to him, but I like him.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I thought he was absolutely snubbed from the All-Star game. And he can still technically get in if, I know Giannis isn't going to play in the All-Star game, so they're going to need to replace him with somebody. So you move, I don't know, Jalen Duren or Donovan Mitchell or one of those guys into the starting lineup, and maybe Michael Porter Jr. gets selected. But Nick, MPJ is averaging 25.6 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, and 3.2 assists. He's shooting 48% from the field and 39.8% from three-point range. He is having a career year. And so, number one, snub from the All-Star team. He should be in over these following players: Karl Anthony Towns, Norman Powell, and Pascal Siakam. There's no way those three guys should have got All-Star nods over Michael Porter Jr. So that's number one.
I agree definitely with the second two. KAT, that's tough. 20 points, 12 rebounds, 46% on a winning team. That's tough.
You're going to tell me that Cat's better than Michael Porter Jr. this year? Fuck out of
I'm
here.
going to tell you that I hate Cat, but we're in the minority there.
Fine. And listen, the reason that I am on board, if you're not going to trade Michael Porter Jr. for more than one first round pick, right? I think the minimum you should even pick up the phone for is two first round picks and a young player. We've seen Michael Porter Jr. be the third option on a championship team. We've seen him be the number one option on a shit team. So he can do it. Like, this guy, he came here, he could have sulked, he could have essentially been Cam Thomas and been upset that, maybe his role is different from that. No, he came in here, he fully embraced being part of the Nets culture, and that should mean something. Like coming in here and having the year he's had and building up his rookies and staying out of, the media in terms of like not saying the greatest things on podcasts. He has been everything and more for Nets fans. And he's honestly one of the best scorers that we've seen consistently since Kevin Durant's been on the team. Um, the only thing I found fascinating was, do you know that he's never had a 40-point game?
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
He's probably
so
close.
he's been close. So the other night he played the Nuggets, and it was like a revenge game in Denver. We lost, but I think he had 39 or 38 that night, and he was two away from 40. And I think his career high is I think it is 39, I want to say. Yeah, against the Nuggets in the loss, he had 38 points and 10 rebounds. So shout out to Michael Porter Jr. The
Even
also
even Jared Allen's had a 40-point game now.
I know, and so did Dylan Brooks. Like that shit bothered me that those two guys have 40-point games, but MPJ and he's 20, he's 25.6 points a game. Like he's 14 points away from a 40-point game. That's what his average is. So that's crazy to me.
There's
Um,
a StatMuse claims that the worst NBA players to have 40-point games are Dylan Brooks, Keontae George, and Bryce Sensabaugh.
yeah, Bryce Sensabaugh went off earlier this year, which I thought was crazy. All right, the All-Star game roster is announced. The West starters: Steph Curry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Victor Wembanyama, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic. The reserves are Denis Avdija. Shout out to Avdija having a career year. Glad
Round of
he made the
applause.
All-Star team.
Applause.
Totally deserving. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Ant Edwards, Chet Holmgren, LeBron James, and Jamal Murray. First All-Star appearance from Jamal Murray in his career.
Congrats to Jamal Murray. That starting lineup is flawless. That starting lineup that you just said could be like someone's top five favorite starting lineup, like in NBA 2K. That could be like, I'm building the most dynamic starting lineup and I'm putting the best players of all time. Like the current talent in today's NBA and specifically in the West has to be one of like the best talent pools in NBA history.
It does. It does. And the East isn't far off. I mean, I definitely think the East has a lot less talent on the bench, but the East starters are Giannis Antetokounmpo, who will probably be replaced by somebody. I think maybe Joel Embiid gets to be on this team, and maybe you move like a Jalen Duren or Jalen John. I don't know. They're gonna move somebody in the starting lineup. But it's Giannis, it's Jalen Brown, it's Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, and Tyrese Maxey.
That's not even close to the West.
It's
If the
not.
West is a 10, that's a 6.
I don't know. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's not super close. I don't know. I
It's a
I like
6.
that lineup. Okay, fine. The reserves are Scotty Barnes, Jalen Duren, Jalen Johnson, who's having a really good year in Atlanta, Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns, Norman Powell, and Pascal Siakam. Like I said, MPJ deserves to be in there. Embiid has been coming on as of late, and I feel like he'll probably get the nod over MPJ, but he really shouldn't, because MPJ has been doing it all year. Okay, any final and by the way, my reasoning for MPJ being snubbed, the national media has a bias against the Nets. They don't pay attention to the Nets, so a lot of these guys are not watching MPJ and they're just stat watching him. And two, they don't like the Nets. Like the national media does not like the Brooklyn Nets. Therefore, they don't think that a guy like MPJ is deserving to be in just because of the team he plays for, which I
Well,
think
they don't like a losing team.
right.
That weighs, that's a contributing factor. If you are on a terrible team, unless you are so unbelievable in making that team significantly better with your presence, and let's be real, I don't think he's doing that. The other player who you can kind of make a similar argument would be Danny Avdia, but I think his like improvement over the past few years, he's actually becoming a insane playmaker. And let me, if I check the Blazers, I know the Blazers aren't great, but they have to be. Yeah, I mean they're 4 games back from 500. So that would be my argument when you have a record like the Nets record, which is sitting at what is it, 13 and 37 or something? 13 and 35. You're probably not going to have an all-star. I mean, look at the
Yeah.
Wizards years with like Brad. I'm pretty sure there were years where the Wizards, Beal was averaging like insane numbers, upwards of 20s to 30s, and he's only been an all-star 3 times. Last time was 2021, and I'm gonna quick look at his stats. The dude on Washington was averaging 30 points a game in 2020. 23 points a game in 22 and 23, but was on such a terrible team he didn't even get that nod.
Yeah, no, I get it, but at the same time, with your logic, Pascal Siakam's on there, and he's part of a shit team too.
What are the Raptors sitting at?
He's not on the Raptors. Pascal Siakam's on the
Oh, he's
Indiana
on the
Pacers.
Pacers. You're right.
Yeah, yeah,
The Pacers are fucking
they're
shit.
bad. They're bad. I think they have the same win total as the Nets. But all right, before we get to the Nets, we have an ad read. The NBA's biggest stars deliver the biggest moments with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. You can cash in when they take over. DraftKings has your back with early exit. If your player goes down anytime in the first half, you still get paid in cash. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SPENNY. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly with code SPENNY. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. All right, Nick, let's talk about our Brooklyn Nets. Let's start with the bad. I think that's the only way you can start. They open up February with a 53-point loss against the Detroit Pistons, which is their second loss in the last 10 games by more than 50. And it's their third loss in the last 10 games by 35 or more because the Clippers beat them, I think, by 37 a few games ago.
And
So,
both the Pistons and the Knicks, 53 and 54-point wins respectively, set franchise records. Personal franchise records in terms of biggest victory margin. So, congrats to the Knicks and the Pistons.
yeah, that's incredible. I just finished watching this game. I had it recorded. I watched it on Monday. There were like two highlights from the Nets. Ben Surratt had two sick behind the back passes. One was to Day'Ron Sharp for the layup. The other was to Cam Thomas, who hit a step back three. Shout out to Ben Surratt. Has been by far the fifth best rookie out of five this year. He's the biggest project, but if he can become a better passer, work on his ball handling, he cannot shoot the 3-point shot to save his life right now. So
He
he,
can't
he's
shoot in
got
general. He shoots it at 32% from the field.
yeah, but his misses are disgusting. Like they're clankers. So it was nice to see him get a few highlights. Other than that, there was really nothing to note from this game. Jaeger Joman's 3-point streak of 34 games, which is a record for the Nets. I think it was the second most. I know Con Knippel beats him in terms of 3-pointers made. I think maybe it was the longest streak for a rookie of all time. You might want to fact check me on that.
Yes,
But
That's Igor Doiman. No, I never say it right.
Jaeger Joman.
Jaeger Joman sets NBA rookie record with 3-pointer in 34th straight game.
There you go. So it was snapped. He went 0 from 3 against the Pistons.
And it's never
Not
been done by a teenager. He
There
is
you
19
go.
years old.
He is 19. So again, young kid, very, very happy for him. I was really tough on him last week, and we'll get to some of his better performances, but he's had before this Detroit game, he's played a lot better basketball. He's been a lot more aggressive. Specifically, we'll talk about that Utah game in a second. The only other thing I want to say about this game, Cam Thomas is I've never seen like it's been a while, and I got to go back to James Harden when he played the Kings a few years ago, which was his last game as a Brooklyn Net. Cam Thomas looks so fucking disinterested in the game, and which actually makes him a ridiculous tank commander. So there was a moment he got stripped. It was 3 seconds left. The Pistons scored. They inbound the ball. Cam Thomas starts running up. He gets stripped, and I think it's Asor Thompson hits a three at half court to end the half. So just a blatant, like casually terrible play by Cam Thomas before the half to give up a wide open half court shot to make it, a 20 whatever game at halftime. And then there was another play. This was like classic Cam Thomas. He misses a mid-range shot, gets his own rebound without even thinking, goes up with a fadeaway shot right after the rebound over two defenders, misses that shot. It's just so obvious how done he is with Brooklyn.
Wouldn't you
And
be? Wouldn't you be at this point if you were him? They bring in MPJ. They clearly aren't making him the guy. They don't prioritize him. They're bringing in guard after guard after guard. I listen. I don't agree with anyone who has a lack of effort. I think that's BS. Wherever you are, you give it your all. But if overall he's not as happy as he used to be in a Brooklyn Nets uniform, I actually do think that's justified.
yeah, I guess I get it. At the same time, it's just and also he's a ball hog. He's always been a ball hog. Even when he's dialed in, he's still a ball hog. So I just, as someone who watches every single fucking game of this team, it is tough to watch him come in there, and that second unit with him is awful. Like they just tend to blow leads. They don't play together. Yeah, not loving what I've seen from Cam Thomas. Nets finish January as Nick brings up Teddy, who is Nick's puppy. For those watching the show, for those listening, Nick now has a dog in his lap, a very cute dog, if I might add at that. Nets finished January 3-14. They had 17 games. That was the most in the NBA. Their wins came against the Denver Nuggets on January 4th, the Chicago Bulls on January 16th, and the Utah Jazz the other night on Friday, January 30th. We'll talk about that game a little bit more in a second. Now, as a fan, as I mentioned, I tune into every game. It's been tough to watch, but Nick, you're not as dialed in. You watch games when you can. You're a busy Brooklyn guy, as I mentioned. Like this is how you successfully tank. So I guess the Nets being 3-14 in January, while it's bad, it's almost really good. But I just, I feel conflicted as a fan. So what do you think of this as they improve their chances in the lottery to get that number one, number two pick? Are you okay with losing by 50 in, the last 10 games?
I mean, listen, I hate losing by 50 to the Knicks. That sucks. I like the Pistons. I'm happy for the Pistons. I think an underdog team, a small market team like that, similar to the Thunder when they won it all, is a cool story. I'm not as bummed about it. Um, it hurts losing to the Knicks and getting a franchise record set against you. With that said, you know me, I don't condone a tank. I don't like people doing a lack of trying. I think that results in kind of other teams getting cheap victories. That could skew a playoff race between two teams if one is playing a team that's tanking more frequently. So I don't love the idea of a tank. With that said, I like the idea about a team being bad enough to earn a lottery pick. So in my mind, if we can get that pick because we're bad, fantastic. I don't want to see a lack of effort. I don't want to see guys not interested. And I don't think I have for the most part. We talk about Cam Thomas's body language not being the best. Besides that, even MPJ, who has a ring, really looks like he's putting his heart into this team and he's hyping up other guys. All the young dudes are fighting for their freaking spot on this team. So I actually like the camaraderie I'm seeing. And I'm biased because I follow the Brooklyn Nets Instagram and just get like sick hype videos of them walking into the arena, like all dripped out in swag. So yes, I want a lottery pick. At what cost? Probably not shit games, but I want that pick.
I keep teetering back and forth. I am with you that it'll be in our best benefit to be really bad and get a lottery pick. I don't love losing by 50 plus, multiple
Yeah, let's get a
times.
lottery pick, but let's like lose by three every game, so they're fun games.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. And you mentioned the difference in terms of Cam Thomas and the other guys. Like they've caught Cam Thomas on candid camera so many times where, Jaeger or MPJ or one of these guys will hit a clutch shot and Cam will be on the bench and you'll see the bench go nuts and he just won't react. Or he'll have like, resting bitch face on for a guy, which I guess is the same regardless of your gender. It's just resting bitch face. But yeah, no, it, he's hanging on by a thread. And what's sad is I don't know if the Nets are going to be able to trade him because I don't know what value he has. Because every time he gets out on that court, sure, he can score in bunches. We'll talk about, his performance in Utah, but how many teams like need that kind of player whose only focus is to score the basketball in the mid range and isn't he's a player you have to run your offense around, even if it's the second unit. but he is not an off-ball player. So I'm just not sure. But yeah, that's where we are, and I'm with you. It's good to tank. We're gonna, the more games we lose, the better off we are in the lottery. I just, these 50 point, 37 point, whatever losses are crushing. Okay. We said a lot of bad things. Now we're going to get into the good. And the one shining highlight, if you're a Nets fan, was this win we had against Utah on Friday night in Utah. This was Jaeger Joman, who went to BYU. This was his homecoming in a sense. And Nick, he was absolutely fantastic. And if you're a Nets fan, there was a lot to be excited about in this game. Joman had 25 points. I believe it's a career high for him. 8 of 16 from the field, 6 of 12 from three. He also had 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover. He was absolutely magnificent in this one. He was scoring from three, the mid range. He got to the line a little bit. Just a really, really, really good game from Jaeger Joman. And then in terms of the other guys, Danny Wolf chipped in 14 points. He was 6-11 from the field with 5 boards. And Nolan Traore, who's looking more and more confident in each game, had 7 rebounds. I'm sorry, 7 points and 6 assists for Nolan Traore and 1 turnover, which is still, not terrible in 26 minutes of play. So I mentioned the three guys. What do you think of the Russian sniper and Danny Wolf and Nolan Traore?
Well, Traore was a -9 against the Jazz. So
Yeah, but
I'm
you're seeing flashes. Like he's been a lot better in the last 2 months of the season than he was when he first got in there. So I'm
I
happy
understand.
with Traore.
No, I understand. I like Jones' performance in the past few weeks. You really wondered why they drafted this guy when the season first started. And you're looking at his numbers in the beginning. It's like, is he a shooter? Not really. He's not very big. Is he a great defender? I don't know. And then you start to realize he just kind of has X factor. He just kind of has that thing you can't describe. He pulls up in your face when he starts feeling it. And when he starts feeling it, he rips. And if you're that confident as a 19-year-old, it really gives you hope for the future that when this dude's 22, 23, 24, in his prime, a better shooter, better discipline, better passer, better teammate. Like, it's very exciting because he can just turn that shit on and all of a sudden score 10 straight points. So very, very confident in Joman in the future. Danny Wolf, I like 6 for 11 from the field, 14 points, good numbers. I don't know if Danny Wolf for me is a long-term guy on this team. I don't know where he fits into like a lineup with other big men or other guards. And the last time we kind of saw like a tall guard was Ben Simmons, and we know how
He's
that kind of
he
worked
he
out.
can't play him he's not quick enough to be a guard.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I love what I'm seeing from Joman. I'm still not sold on a couple of these other guys. And if I look at these plus minuses, you're looking at Saraf, Cam Thomas, Drake Powell plus 14, Jalen Wilson plus 16, and you're looking at a Traore -9, Danny Wolf -9. Even Joman was a 2. And listen, I know so many other factors come in. When are they going into the game? Are the other subs all in at the end of the game for the Jazz? Point being, let's stick to Joman. Let's stick to MPJ. Who else besides Claxton and Clowney are you really putting confidence in these days? Besides seeing a few flashes of decent games.
So when you started talking bad about Danny Wolf, I wanted to flip you off so badly, and I held back. Danny Wolf, I think, has a lot of potential in this organization. What I don't love about his game recently is he's become very reliant on the 3-point shot, and he's not a great 3-point shooter yet. I think he has the potential to be a decent 3-point shooter, but in this one he finished with 14. He was 2 of 7 from three. Um, he shoots a lot of 3-pointers. He shoots a lot of catch and shoot 3-pointers. I think he is best when he's touching the ball around the paint, when he's reading the defense, he's making decisions off the dribble. I think that's where he is different than your typical big man. He has really high IQ for a big man, and he's very creative around the paint. So I don't love that he's kind of like followed Noah Clowney's sort of style of play, and he's just been chucking up a lot of 3-pointers recently because that's not how he's going to get more minutes on this Nets team. But I do think that there is a future where Danny Wolf can be a major contributor, if not in the starting lineup for the Brooklyn Nets, definitely off the bench. Um, you talked about Joman. Cam Thomas in this one, I mean, it was a good Cam Thomas game, 21 points. He was 21 points, 7 of 15 from the field, 1 of 6 from three. He kept the Nets in it. I think he had a really nice surge. I think it was the third quarter. But really good play from him. He was 6 of 6 from the line. And then Day'Ron Sharp, who has been playing some decent basketball lately. 16 points, 9 boards in this rare Nets January win. This was a nice game to get. And the Jazz still have a better record than the Nets, so you're okay beating this Jazz team. I think they have one or two more wins than the Nets. So overall, nice to see them get a win, especially when you've just lost almost every other game in January. Anything else to say about this one?
No, we'll enjoy the couple wins where we can get them against crappy teams.
Probably should have brought this up earlier, but when we were talking about tanking, did you catch the Kansas BYU game this past weekend, Nick?
I did not.
So I know DeBonsa ended up with a decent stat line. I think he had 17 points. I watched the first half of that game.
We were
Darren
watching the UCLA game that went into double OT.
Darren Peterson, I was in the camp that the Nets should draft AJ DeBonsa because he fits more with what they need right now. After watching Darren Peterson play one half of basketball, I've completely done a 180. If you have the number one pick, there's no other option other than Darren Peterson. He is incredible. Like I'm talking generational talent in that game against BYU. I think he started like 6 of 6 from the field. He had a few threes. He had one in it, and he makes it look so effortless. He had one move where he took somebody off the dribble, showed them the ball with his right hand, and then finished with his left hand. And it was one of the smoothest things I've seen on a basketball court since the late great Kobe Bryant, or we're going back to Michael Jordan. The way that Darren Peterson moves and the way he's able to score and
That's
make
high
any
praise.
any defender look like a cone. Like DeBonsis, I think 6'9". He's quick. Darren Peterson viewed him as barbecue chicken. It's just he has looked incredible. The one knock or criticism on Darren Peterson is he hasn't been able to finish games. He had some cramping hamstring injuries in that BYU game, so we didn't see him much in the second half. But he is a bona fide stud, and if he stays healthy, if the Nets end up with that number one pick, it's him. Like you get number two, you're happy with DeBonsa, but you get number one. That is your franchise player for the next 10 to 15 years if you take care of him.
I hope so. That's some high praise. Those are some big words. You said the only other two guys you mentioned were Kobe and MJ. So I might need a little more proof before that happens, but we'll see.
No, and I also know that people have labeled him the best prospect since Kobe Bryant. And
Wow.
Kobe didn't play in college, so we never got the chance to see Kobe in college. I think if we got that chance, you would have saw a little bit of what Darren Peterson's doing right now, when he's out there.
You're saying
I
Kobe was a bigger prospect than LeBron?
in terms of just the hype around Kobe, yeah, I think because it was Kobe and then LeBron.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Um, Also for me, the last time I saw someone dominate like this, in limited action is Kyrie Irving. Like when Kyrie's freshman year at Duke, he didn't play every game because he had injury issues. But when he was out there, it was like, oh yeah, this guy's not playing the same game as the other nine guys on the court. Like that's how good Darren Peterson is. All right. Got some NBA trade stuff. Giannis Antetokounmpo talks have heated up. As of right now, the three realistic teams that I'm hearing are the Heat, the Knicks, the Warriors. I have also seen some buzz around the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Chicago Bulls, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. To bring it back to the Nets, they did make a call into the Bucks. Do you want to try to guess what a package would look like if you are the Nets and the Bucks, like what both teams would agree to?
MPJ, 4 first-round picks.
Yeah, I got MPJ, Jaeger, Joman, 3 first-round picks, and maybe Traore or Drake Powell for Giannis, Thanasis, and Bobby Portis.
Well, Thanasis has to join him.
Well, because you got to, if you're going to give up two or three players, you can't, like, it's got to make
I
sense.
love Bobby Portis. He's getting
Yeah, I
old
know you
though.
do. No, I don't. Everything I've read from Nets Daily and other Nets, reporters, I think the Nets put in the call just to see what's up. I do not think they're actually aggressive in pursuing Giannis. I don't think they want to give up their young talent like Jaeger, like Nolan Traore. I think they want to keep these guys. But yeah, where do you think Giannis ends up if he's traded before the deadline and why?
if you're telling me of the teams you mentioned, I think the Heat make a lot of sense. I think the Heat are always one great player from being contenders. They're so well coached. They're so well disciplined. They know how to draft. I love who's the UCLA guy, Hawkes. I love Bam. I think they just always are on the cusp. Butler wasn't the guy to get it done. I think Giannis could be. Warriors, I like too. I'd actually much rather see him go to the Warriors than see him go anywhere else, just in terms of teams I would enjoy to see keep winning. I love Steph. I love Kerr. Fuck the Knicks. That would be so stupid. Brunson, Giannis, Cat makes no sense to me in terms of rhythm and flow. You have like Brunson and Giannis who both just want the ball in their hand at all times. I don't see how that works. And then if you're gonna create a two-man game with Giannis and Brunson, what need do you have for Cat? So I'm guessing if
Well,
it was
Cat would
Cat
be in
would
that
go.
trade.
Yes.
Yeah, he would be
Yeah.
gone.
So I don't love the option there. T-Wolves I could see. But I would say the most excited I would be are the Heat or Warriors in terms of like immediate impact on a team that's like could make the playoffs and now goes from now being like a third or fourth seed.
That's fair. I think for me, the most intriguing, like from a basketball fan standpoint, would be the Warriors. Him and Steph together. And I guess you just got to get rid of Draymond Green, Podzinski, a few picks in, like future first round picks. I think Steph and Giannis would be one of the best duos like we've seen in a while. Giannis is the most physically imposing player that we've seen since Shaquille O'Neal, and Steph is the best player in the last 10 years. So yeah, I think those two would make for a fun pairing. As a Knicks hater, I would like to see him go to Cleveland. I think if Cleveland can make a package around Evan Mobley, give him up that's a young centerpiece that the Bucks can build around. Giannis goes back to Cleveland to play with Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Jared Allen. I think that team could absolutely beat the Knicks in a best of seven series, and the Knicks have had the Cavs number in the playoffs in the last few years. Um,
That's
Also,
a
I just
good
want to,
point. The
yeah.
East, if Giannis leaves the East and goes to the West, there is like that pendulum swings so far. Like we're already like a 70-30 talent versus the
Yeah.
West being the superior. That would really make the East look pretty weak.
It's going to be tough. That's why I want to see him go to Cleveland, if not Orlando. Like I don't think Orlando is going to give up much to get him, so I don't think they're really in the running. But yeah, I think him in Cleveland would be fun, especially if you hate the Knicks. All right, Nick. Oh, and by the way, quick correction. Brian Lewis at NY Post_Lewis reported 43 minutes ago. We're recording this on Monday at around 6 o'clock. He said, "I'm told the Bucks haven't received a call from Brooklyn about Giannis Antetokounmpo. I know there's reporting to the contrary, and I can't say what the Nets will do in the future, but as of now, league sources say they haven't called the Bucks. So this might be a situation where if Giannis isn't moved before the deadline and he has to stay in Milwaukee, maybe the Nets figure out what they're going to do with the first or second pick if that's what they get, and then maybe they make a move on Giannis in the offseason. Like I wouldn't rule that out. Should be very interesting. All right, Nick. This next segment is actually an old segment of ours, and it's called Tisk Tisk. So, former Nets player, Nets coach, and current Mavericks head coach Jason Kidd was fined 35 grand for a profanity-laced answer during a recent session with the media. So the media asked Jason Kidd a question about the criticism that he's gotten from those who believe that he was using Cooper Flag wrong. A lot of people came at Kidd when Flag played point guard early in the year, and here was Jason Kidd's response. Are you ready for this, Nick? I don't give a shit about the criticism. Criticism, that's your opinion. You guys write that bullshit. That's not, I've done this. I've played this game. I've played it at a very high level. I know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't give a fuck what you guys write because you guys have never played the game. And so I build players. So I know what the fuck I'm doing. So to take criticism, it only makes me better because if I wasn't doing it right, you guys wouldn't be poking holes in what I've done. Tisk tisk, Jason Kidd. There are kids listening and watching.
Let's just say it seems a lot more likely now that he did hit his wife.
Dude, my goodness. All right. Just God. I don't have any of the details of that report in front of me, so I'm just gonna say everything that Nick said was alleged. Correct, Nick?
Yes.
But maybe Jason Kidd, just remember that there are kids watching. Maybe watch it with the F. You can, talk how you want to your players, but when there are kids, please. Okay. Tisk tisk. Can I get a tisk tisk?
Tisk tisk.
Thank you. All right, Nick. We're gonna do a really quick who am I? We have three questions. We'll start with the easiest. You ready? I'm gonna give you three clues right off the bat. You got to give me a guess. I played for Boston, Brooklyn, Washington, and the Clippers.
Eddie
I've
House.
I'm a former champion. I had the game-winning block against the Toronto Raptors in the playoffs with the Brooklyn Nets during his tenure where he played in Brooklyn.
And it wasn't Eddie.
Boston wasn't Eddie House. Boston, Brooklyn, Washington, and the Clippers, former NBA champion, had a game-winning block against the Toronto Raptors in the playoffs during his 2-year tenure with the Brooklyn Nets. This should be an easy one.
Jeff
Eddie House
Green.
did, no, Eddie House didn't play for the Brooklyn Nets.
What? Yes. No?
Played for the New Jersey Nets.
Oh, tisk tisk. Okay, so you won it with the Celtics.
You're missing a really, really odd. Like this is supposed to be easy, dude.
Probably a recent player with the Celtics.
No, no, it's not. It's not. You're thinking of the wrong.
Paul Pierce.
Yes, thank you. Okay, next up. Point guard who played for the Nets from 2007 to 2010. In his best season with the New Jersey Nets in 2008, 2009, he averaged 21.3 points per game and 6.9 assists per game, and
Aaron Williams.
he was selected to the All-Star game for the Aaron Williams.
I said Darren Williams.
No, 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 no. Sorry, I think you said Aaron Williams. No. It was the only time in his career he was selected to the All-Star game. His most famous shot was a half-court buzzer beater to win the game in which he bobbled the ball and still hit the shot. Point guard for the Nets for 3 years, 2007 to 2010. Also played for the Mavericks, among other teams.
Jason Kidd.
Nope, you're missing one point guard in that era.
Give me another hint.
Um, his initials are DH.
Devin Harris.
Devin Harris. All right, this is the last one. Okay, and then we're gonna end the episode. Okay, this is hard. Played 2 years with the New Jersey Nets from 2002 to 2004. Played 12 years total in the NBA from 1994 to 2005. Known for being a solid three-point shooter off the bench, he was more of a stretch four during his tenure. He passed away last November at the age of 54. RIP.
Jesus. Uh Keith Van Horn? I don't know.
He's still alive. Stop killing Keith Van Horn. It's Rodney Rogers.
Gallibrini's dead, right?
No, Rodney Rogers is who I was looking
I
for.
would not have gotten that.
So we had Rodney Rogers, we had Devin Harris, we had Paul Pierce. You pretty much went 0 for 3.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks to everyone for listening to episode 244 of Spenny and the Nets. I'm Spen, your host. He's Nick, your co-host when he can make it. And thanks for stopping by, everybody.
See you later.